Honey, I have to admit, the names coming up in Diddy's trial are already surprising. But seeing Prince mentioned, that's something I didn't expect at all. Sure, we've heard before that Diddy used Prince's house to throw some of his wildest parties, especially after what Jason Lee revealed.
First Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you.
But here's where things take a turn. What if Prince had cameras recording everything? He was known for being extremely private, very calculated, and always staying in control. So what if he actually recorded everything that went down and chose not to attend those parties on purpose? Some people believe he may have held on to that footage, or even passed it along to someone, before he died. And now, rumors are spreading that his name might come up in court. This trial is shaping up to be wild, and I'm watching every bit of it. So far, a few unexpected names have popped up during jury selection. We're talking about people like Michelle Williams, Robert Downey Jr., Mike Myers, and Lauren London. Names we didn't really expect. Then there are names we figured would show up, like Cassie. She was the one who filed the first lawsuit. In her suit, she claimed Diddy's staff and employees from Bad Boy Entertainment and his other companies saw many of the things she went through. But nobody ever spoke up. She even said these assistants were the ones told to bring her gifts after she went through a DV incident. According to her, they also helped set up the so-called freak-offs, booking hotel rooms and laying out items like baby oil and Astroglide. After one of these incidents, she claimed Diddy's head of security and his assistant saw her and were so shaken they started crying. So yes, many of these staff members will probably be called in. Harve Pierre also made the list. He was named in another lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe, where she said Harve convinced her to fly from Detroit to New Jersey, where she claims both he and Diddy assaulted her. Then there's Young Miami. She was reportedly on Diddy's payroll and allegedly transported illegal substances. She came up during jury selection too. Dallas Austin's name also appeared. He's said to be a longtime friend of Kim Porter, Diddy's late partner. That got people talking again, wondering if Diddy had anything to do with Kim's sudden passing. Lorian Gibson also made headlines. Back in 2007, she told police Diddy picked up a chair and threatened her on the set of Making the Band. Aubrey O'Day was also mentioned. She's already been vocal in supporting Cassie's decision to go public, and she's accused Diddy of making inappropriate advances toward her as well. Another name that came up is Dawn Richard from Danity Kane. She once sued Diddy, accusing him of abuse. In that lawsuit, she said he began insulting women harshly during the filming of Making the Band. She also claimed he made her work non-stop without sleep and took advantage of her. Dawn added that she saw Diddy get violent with Cassie while high. Michael B. Jordan's name was also brought up. He was mentioned in Cassie's lawsuit because they had a brief, flirty relationship back in 2015. The prosecution might focus on Cassie's exes, especially considering the story about Kid Cudi. Cassie said they had a short fling in 2011 during a break in her relationship with Diddy. After getting back with Diddy, he supposedly found some emails between. That's when he started losing it. The lawsuit says Diddy wanted Kid Cudi to be home when his car was blown up. And that's exactly what happened. The car exploded right in his driveway. More names will likely surface. But again, seeing Prince involved, especially with whispers about him having a recording, was unexpected. It really makes you wonder, could any of this be connected to Prince's death? Could this be the hidden truth behind what happened to him? Prince seemed to know his time was near. Just before he died, he shared a photo with a cryptic caption that said something like, "Just when you thought you were safe." At his last public appearance at Paisley Park, days after treatment and just before his death, he reportedly told people, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." And then, just as he hinted, he passed away at 57. He was found unresponsive at his home in Minnesota. Officials said it was an accidental overdose from fentanyl after he unknowingly took fake Vicodin laced with the synthetic drug. But to this day, people find it hard to believe that someone like Prince, who lived a clean lifestyle, would die that way.
Health problems?
That I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't abuse alcohol. I didn't know of him abusing drugs. He worked out, so, that also really concerned me because it made me think that, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young?
Prince was never someone who kept quiet when it came to fighting for his music and rights. He battled with Warner Brothers for years over ownership of his masters and how his music was being used and controlled. And it wasn't just about money. It was about freedom. He didn't want a label dictating when or how he released his work. Prince was signed to Warner Brothers at just 18 in 1977. His early albums didn't blow up, but Warner believed in his potential. Then came 1999, Purple Rain, and a run of hits that made him one of the biggest stars in the world. By the mid-80s, he wasn't just a musician, he was a movement. Fans copied his look, his sound, and his attitude. But behind the scenes, things were tense. Prince hated that Warner Brothers owned the rights to his name and all the music tied to it. That's when he made his boldest move, changing his name to an unpronounceable symbol. It was his way of protesting being treated like a product, a way of saying, "You can't own me." In public appearances, Prince had the word slave written on his cheek. He made it clear he didn't feel respected or free under his contract. And while he eventually won the fight to get his masters back in the 2010s, many believe the battle took a toll and may have made him some enemies. That's why some people think Prince's death wasn't as simple as it was reported. Officially, it was a fentanyl overdose from counterfeit pills, but fans aren't convinced. They point to how careful Prince was about what he put in his body, his clean living, and the fact that he seemed to know the end was near, telling people at his last appearance to wait a few days before you waste any prayers. Now, with his name possibly coming up in connection to Diddy's case, people are asking if Prince had something more, like damning footage, and if that could have put a target on his back.
31st, 1999. My publishing contract with Warner Chappell expired, thus emancipating the name I was given before birth, Prince, from all long-term restrictive documents. I had to search deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life. And one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it, as it's been well chronicled in deep dispute with my record label.
Which is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. We had some issues that were basically about ownership of the music and how often I was supposed to record and things like that. I really searched deep within to find out the answer to whether fame was most important to me or my spiritual well-being.
There's a theory that's been floating around, and it's picking up traction again now. It says Prince wasn't just fighting for his music. He was also distancing himself from powerful industry figures he didn't trust. And one of those people might have been Diddy. See, Diddy made a major deal with Warner Music Group, the same label Prince had fought for years. That deal gave Warner a 50% stake in Bad Boy Records. Warner handled distribution for Diddy's entire catalog, which meant a lot of power and money changed hands. Diddy even bragged about the deal, saying it gave him the backing to stay relevant in the music industry for years. But here's where it gets weird. There are claims Prince wanted nothing to do with Diddy because of what he allegedly knew. Some say Prince knew about the dark side of the parties Diddy hosted, what some are now calling freak-offs. These weren't just regular industry parties. According to insiders, they were highly controlled, exclusive events with strange rules. One of the more disturbing claims came from Jason Lee. He said the first Diddy party he ever went to was actually at Prince's house. But Jason noticed something strange. Nobody was allowed to bring their own security. That's not normal for high-profile guests. Most celebrities never go anywhere without their own. So why the restriction? The idea is that Prince may have rented out his house for the party but stayed far away from what was going on, almost like he didn't want to be linked to any of it. And if Prince did know about what Diddy was doing, and if he had any kind of proof, it raises a big question. Could that knowledge have made him a threat?
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy...
So if Tika was telling the truth, and Prince really did say he was in trouble days before his death, then it's hard to ignore that. He wasn't the type to make dramatic statements for no reason. He was careful with his words, private with his life, and always thinking a few steps ahead. If he felt threatened, there was probably a real reason. And with the kind of people Diddy was allegedly involved with, and the history Prince had with Warner, it's not far-fetched to think he saw something he wasn't supposed to. Or maybe he documented something he shouldn't have. That footage, if it exists, could be dangerous. Maybe too dangerous.
A lot for getting you into rehab.
Yes, he did. I had a long time kind of battling those things, and after my father passed, it got really bad. And so I called up Big Bruh. To help.
That part hits hard. If Prince really spent 2 years preparing Tika for his death, it means he saw it coming. Not like an accident or random illness. He knew someone or something was closing in. That's not the behavior of someone who's just paranoid. That's someone who has real reasons to be afraid. And Prince wasn't reckless. He was calculated. So for him to quietly get his sister ready for life without him says a lot. Maybe he was trying to protect her from the fallout. Maybe he knew too much. Maybe he had something, proof, footage, information that made him a target.
Hard at all. It was a 2-second phone call. He's gone. I had been preparing for 2 years, so I knew that it was coming.
What does that mean?
He said it a couple of years ago.
What would he say?
What he said was, I've done everything that I've come to do. So I was crying.
That final convo between Tika and Prince really says something. She knew something was off, but he wouldn't let her in. He deflected, made jokes. Typical Prince when he didn't want to show vulnerability. But it also shows he chose not to talk. Maybe to protect her. The fact that he was writing a memoir and stepping away from performing around the same time just adds another layer. It feels like he was tying up loose ends. Whether or not Diddy has anything to do with it, we might never get a clear answer. But if Prince really had footage or info and his name does end up in court, that could change everything. Drop your thoughts about this theory below. Do you think Prince had the receipts on Diddy?